Hello everyone, I'm Kristel and Celemin from the Batangas State University, Alangilan Campus, taking Bachelor of Science in Information Technology from the section 2105.
This video is all about the summary of the chapter 10 and the chapter 10 entitled Application Layer. Application, Presentation, Session. Application Layer. So let's start with that. Closest to the end user. So since that uh, it is the last part of the OSI model, so that's why it is the closest to the end user. Application layer protocols help exchange data between programs running on the source and destination host. The TCP/IP application layer performs the function of the upper layer of the upper three layers of the OSI model. Common application layer protocols include the HTTP, hypertext and the FTP, TFTP, and the DNS or the domain name system. Then presentation and session layer. Format data, compress and encrypt. So in the presentation and session layer, so it formatted the data, then compress or make it short or small, then encrypt data, for security, so they encrypt the data. Then common standard for video include QuickTime and motion picture experts group or the MPEG. Then common graphic images formats are the GIF or the GIF, the JPEG or the JPEG, and the PNG or the PNG. So the GIF, JPE, JPEG, and the PNG is the we usually see this one in the extension for the pictures. Then the session layer creates and maintains dialogues between source and destination applications. The session layer handles the exchange of information to initiate dialogues, keep them up active, and to restart sessions that are disrupted or idle. How application protocols interact with end user application. Client server model. Clients request information while servers provide it. Client and server processes and considered to be in the application layer. The contents of the data exchange will depend on the application in use. Email is an example of a client-server interaction. So, in the client-server model, so the client will request the information while the client will request the information, then the server will provide it. So the example of this one is the email. Then peer-to-peer networks. Data is accessed without the use of dedicated server. Two or more computers can be connected to a P2P network to share resources. Every connected end devices so appear can function both as server and a client. So every end devices so they can function uh, they can be a server or a client. The roles of client and server are set on a peer request basis. So web and email protocols. Hypertext Transfer Protocol and Hypertext Markup Language or the a URL is a reference to a web server. So the URL is like the link. So when we are using the web server, URLs and URIs are the names most people associated with the web addresses. So That's it. The link that we most common URLs contain the protocols, the server name, and the requested file name. Using DNS, the server name portion of the URL is then translated to the associated IP address before the server can be contacted. HTTP and HTTPS. The browser sends a GET request to the server's IP address and asks for the index.html file. That's what I call the extension. The server sends the requested file to the client. So since the client asks for the information, so the client or the server will send the requested file. Then the index.html was specified in the URL and contains the HTML code for this web page. The browser processes the HTML code and formats the page for the browser window based on the code in the file. HTTP is not secure. Message can be intercepted. It says here that the HTTP is not secure. Uh, and then the message can be intercepted. HTTP uses authentication and encryption to secure data. So the difference between the HTTP and HTTPS is that the HTTP is not secured. The HTTPS is secured because it uses the authentication and encryption of data. Email protocols. Email is a store and forward method of sending, storing, and retrieving electronic messages. So we are very familiar with the email. So we are usually using that in sending the data to other people. Email messages are stored on mail servers. Email clients communicate with mail servers to send and receive email. Mail servers communicate with other mail servers to transport messages from one domain to another. IP addressing services. Domain name service. IP addresses are not easy to memorize. Since the IP addresses are unique, so each end devices should have unique IP addresses, so it's not easy to memorize all. Domain names make server addresses more user-friendly. So the DNS will make it easy for us. Then DNS message format. Common DNS record are ANS, AAA, and MX. DNS servers search its own record first, relaying the client's request to other servers if it can resolve the request. DNS hierarchy. The DNS protocol uses a hierarchical system. The naming structure is broken down into a smaller, manageable zones. Each DNS server is only responsible for managing names, so IP mapping for a small portion of the DNS structure. Requests for zones are not stored in a specific DNS servers are forwarded to other servers for translation. Top-level domain represents either the type of domain or the country of origin. Example of top-level domains are the .com, .org, .au, and the .co. So this is the we can see in the addresses. So this is the extension, file extension. It's like www.cisco.com. So it's like that. The ns lookup command. The use ns lookup to place the DNS queries. Useful for DNS troubleshooting. File sharing services. File transfer protocol. FTP was developed to allow the transfer of files over the network. An FTP client is an application that runs on a client computer used to push and pull data from a FTP server. FTP requires two connections between the client and the server. One connection for commands and replies and another connection for the actual file transfer. The client initiates and establishes the first connection to the server for control traffic on the TCP port 21. The client then establishes the second connection to the server for the actual data transfer on TCP port 20. The client can download or pull data from the server or upload push data to the server. So, uh, the I said before the about the push and pull. So, the pull is the download and the push is the upload. Message server message block. SMB is a client-server file share protocol. All SMB messages share a common format. SMB file sharing and print message services have become the mainstay of Windows networking. Microsoft products now support TCP/IP protocols to directly support SMB source sharing. After the connection is established, the user of the client can access the resources on the server as if the source in the local to the client host. So thank you. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching.